la chapa sho etam guru
The microphones.
You can't tell me where that is. Must be here.
It's true. Won't work without the microphone. That one's true.
That one is for emotion.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Do you know how to do it?
And the other one
You
is
know
for
how to do it. Just flip it on. Let me see. You can just turn it on. They didn't teach me how to do
It's
this
okay.
one.
We'll figure it out.
On, and then just clip it on.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you have one too. You have one. in your ear.
This needs to be on.
He needs one.
He has one.
He has one.
Sorry.
It's good. It's good. This is for Steve.
It's the one that goes
I
on the
think
ear.
this one is for Ricochet.
No,
No, that's for Steve.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
A long time ago.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Hello, can you hear?
Yes.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Hello, did you see it?
Actually, when you say the word hello in Tibetan means something like, you know, like reversed or upside down.
Sanje Chidam
Soge Janama Janjo Bado Dani Gasuchi Dagi Junsi Gibe Sonanki Drola Penje Sangi Trupara Sho
Sanje Chidam
Soge Janama Janjo Bado Dani Gasuchi Dagi Junsi Gibe Sonanki Drola Penje Sangi Trupara Sho
Sanje Chidam
Soge Janama Janjo Bado Dani Gasuchi Dagi Junsi Gibe Sonanki Drola Penje Sangi Trupara Sho
Tak valista.
Where did we get to?
I think beginning of chapter 10, no? On identifying the.
I think we're still chapter 9.
Chapter
I think we're still chapter 9.
Lagi.
We're
Ye
in the middle
tambu
of chapter 9.
ji xie ba.
La.
Ni ma tambu ji xie di yang zhou xie.
So,
Jason di yang zhou xie Jason di kasan di man zhou tu yang ma.
oh. What happened is I explained again what I explained on the first day, and therefore we weren't able to go ahead to the text.
Da yang zhou di guo de shi.
So again, where did we get to?
Maybe we should just explain it a third time.
Yeah, you. 你们当不对呀，对不对？是不是呢？不要把你。
Rinpoche was giving examples of what emptiness, like about not inherent, no inherent existence. He explained that to general. We were
让你真的一般准备的等待讲送死。
哪里在地里？但但真的地里，到店里地主吧，中国你就到店里这个去了你写去。
So there should be an outline that says the third one. Sumbatoni itawa tena bebitsulani. And so then that one has got two. So this is in the Tibetan, and you can find where the English is by knowing the Tibetan page, because the Tibetan page is in, like bold. So it's actually page 574 if anybody can find that. So, like settling the view of the way of settling the view of emptiness, and that's got 2 points. One of them is the stages in which you enter into or engage in thusness. Okay. So then we need the actual way, the actual explanation of or settling of the meaning of thusness or emptiness. You got that? So there should be one where it says the third. I think it's probably the
actual.
Yeah. So if you look at page 119, the very beginning of chapter 9 in English, it says how to determine the philosophical view of emptiness. This has 2 parts: the stage of entry into a reality and the actual determination of reality. That's what Rinpoche just said. No.
The subject is getting Tober Jave, Deconani, Yangan, Debatica, she, the Tober Jave, Top Deconani, Juba, Chitaraja, Conajuba, Yinyamna study, and the Tober Jave, Deconani, then Pub Quia, the Caressine, Tober Javes. Deconani, Yangan, Devas, Yangan, Devaseti, debut Deconani. Sangi the say chuku, only good disagree. Just a little top of Jave, Deconani, Yangele, Devani, Kais. That the Carreras Chida Nagis, Shamdiduga. Chida Nagi, China Tobas. Deconani, Mai Shindu, Deconani, Noah, the 탐제 과자도 제바 여러 시에 다다 이런 진반 넘버 탐제 세바니 디 토벌 제를 디코능이 추주고 세치두가 어떻게 당연히 디코능이 되는 편이 토벌 제를 다 디코능이 제바 제비 디코능이 있으면 다 미래를 양태지 대기별로 Godela Kare Yangde the Goti Chibari. Yan Godela Tombani Yikubia. Cheta the Tober Cheres Yukonani the Kares. Then Bakshali did Tobjin Yukonani the Kares. That in where being the Banana Tober Cheres Yukonani to Musum is Chevy.
So you see where it says here these 2 parts: the stage of entry into reality, and then the actual determination of reality. That first one, the stage of entry into reality, because it's so important, so I explained it again. I've explained it again. And so here, the part of the text that I'm looking at here, it starts off where it says, there's a question. Nirvana is the reality one seeks to attain, but what is the nirvana? What is nirvana? If entry into reality means a method for attaining it, then how do you enter? The reply: the reality that you seek to attain, the embodiment of truth, is the total extinction of conceptions, and so on, down to the end of that that second paragraph. That's what I'm looking at here. So here we're talking about the thusness. Actually, it's been translated here as reality. So the reality, the resultant reality, which is the reality to be achieved, and then there's the reality which is to be like sorted out and understood. So before going on to that second one, we're looking at the reality to be achieved. And so the reality to be achieved, or the resultant reality, what that refers to is nirvana. It's nirvana, and specifically it's the Dharmakaya. So within the Dharmakaya, you have the nature body, the Swabhavakaya, of an enlightened being. So it's referring to that. That's the resultant thusness or reality as it's described here or translated here. And so keep in mind that according to the Prasangika system, nirvana, which is equivalent to the truth of cessation, is emptiness. It's emptiness in the Prasangika system. And so that's what's being talked about here. It's the, when it says the reality to be achieved, it's talking about that nirvana, and specifically here it's talking about the nirvana, the non-abiding nirvana, which is the nirvana or the truth of cessation, which an enlightened being has, and so that's the nature body, the svabhavakaya. No.
That is the Tobre Cheve de Gonanita Chugutimba. Tanyangeli Devase, the Yangeti, Yumo Balache, Maribata Dusula, Yanesi, Yangeli Desitumber, Yumumba, and then Sebatilla, Yumumba Sebatilla, Yangeli Devase. The time the Tobre Cheve, Yangeli Devati Kayan, Yangeti Yumubaje. Dylan Deva di Carresina, then Dylan Deva, and Deveta, Toja Tutti, or that is Nenity. Dylan Deva, and many Deva di Carres, Lavriva, Tatiriva, young Ellen Deva said, young Eddie Yumbache. Dylan Deva, Deconanitis, this Seve, Deconani di Carres, Lavriva. Tati, Chida Nangi. Tadi Maribat Shengri, Chida Nangi, Nadoba, Deconani, Mai Shindo, Deconani, Nava, Ditamje, Baja the Jeva, your Shive, and your Shive, that didn't Zimba number Tamje, Sebani, Tobrajeve, Deconani, Chuki go, study Chesa, Aramzubi. Deja 톱제 터두디가 디코는 추구들이스 이 추구디 토바지바를 가르르했으니 다 머리바 바제트 집에 세우고 그랬어 다 머리바 바제트 세 머리바 세우디다 겐지를 쓰게 해봐 제 머리 바제트 집에 세우고 그랬어 다티 용다티 때 세우라다 Gacha Hakuya, Mariba Hakuya, Mariba Zinju, Mariba the Zimbati Kentechi, Tati Hakuya, he is anything but the Ondan the Kiriku, Manju Tobjet to the Chubuteris, the Tobachiva Karikuris, and the Mariba Seguris, Aja the Chelasu. Mariba Sebatam, Mariba Sebati, Tajuma, Yara Tajumbaria. The Pacha the Jebati Pacha, the Shiti Shaw. Pacha the Jebat Sever, Segu Yaris. This Eberatan, any Mariba, Mariba Zinjuta to Sushi, any Maribati. Kagu Yerba, what is a 30 on that two series?
So let's look at the whole of that second paragraph. The reality that you seek to attain the embodiment of truth, the truth body, Dhammakaya, is the total extinction of conceptions of both the self and that which belongs to the self, specifically by stopping all the various internal and external phenomena from appearing as though they were reality itself, which they are not, along with the latent predispositions for such false appearances. So what this is saying is, again, what we want to achieve, what we want to attain is nirvana. And nirvana is understood in connection with, in relation to the klesha of the afflictive thoughts and emotions. and particularly the afflictive thoughts and emotions in general, and especially ignorance, which is the root of all of them, is what's referred to by the term sorrow, because nirvana is a Sanskrit word. In Tibetan is nyangde, nyangele deva. Nyangin is sorrow or suffering, sorrow. Deva means gone beyond. So nirvana means gone beyond sorrow. It's so beyond sorrow. And sorrow refers to the destructive thoughts and emotions, and especially ignorance. So it's to do with going beyond those. And so when explaining nirvana, then we need to explain about ignorance. So here it mentions not just the ignorance, but along with the latent predispositions for such false appearances. So in other words, it explains in this paragraph what that ignorance is, because it says the total extinction of conceptions. So this is the ignorance, conceptions of both the self and that which belongs to the self. So specifically by stopping all the various internal and external phenomena from appearing as though they were reality itself, along with the latent predispositions for such false appearances. So what we're trying to achieve is the Dharmakaya. In order to achieve that Dharmakaya, we need to be able to remove ignorance along with its imprint. When we say ignorance, that refers to grasping at true existence. So in other words, in order to understand the Dharmakaya, you need to understand about ignorance. In order to understand ignorance, you need to understand the way in which ignorance, or to grasping at true existence, grasps its object, the way it grasps its object. What the object is that it grasps, because that object would be the object of negation. And so that's how this kind of like unfolds, this whole sort of explanation. So just going beyond ignorance isn't enough, because even the Hinayana Arhats have gone beyond ignorance. And here we're talking about the nirvana of an enlightened being, a fully enlightened being. So that to achieve that nirvana, you don't just go beyond ignorance, you go beyond the imprints of ignorance. The imprints of ignorance are considered to be knowledge obscurations, not just afflictive obscurations, but knowledge obscurations. And nevertheless, to remove that, so to remove the ignorance and the imprints of ignorance, you need to understand ignorance and the way that ignorance grasps it, object and so forth.
that's it. Mahi Shindu, Dekonani to Tubana Siati, Gajal Chow, Dekonani Siati. Dekonani, Mahi Shindu, Dekonani, no, Ditamje, Baja de Java says, Dekonani Siati, Gajal Chas. That in a what the Dekonani Jitter Jube choose the Dekonani Tombani Lago.
Chilmangi Chinam, Nato, Devani, Mahi Shindu,
Dekonani do now this is to
that did
Gajal Chas.
and it Chikuti and it
Tell me, Dekonani the Jube Rimbasesh to Gashan, or the Tombani the Jube Rimbasesh.
So let's see here again the reality you seek to attain, the embodiment of truth, because the thing is the word reality comes up twice in this paragraph, at least anyway. On one occasion it's connected with the object to be negated. On the following occasion it's connected with with emptiness. So it was the total extinction of concepts of both self and that which belongs to us, specifically by stopping all the various internal from periods of yes, so appearing as though they were reality itself, although they're not, which they are not. So although they are not reality, they appear to be reality. So in that phrase, the reality is connected with the object of negation, which they are not, along with a latent. So you see, the order is different in the English, isn't it? The reality that you seek to attain, the embodiment of truth, is a total extinction of conception of both self and that which belongs to self, specifically by stopping. So it's just the two times it occurs. So the first one, where it says the reality you seek to attain, that one is connected with the emptiness. You understand it in terms of emptiness. Later on in the paragraph in English, it's the other way around in the Tibetan. Then when it says reality, it's more in terms of the object to be negated.
다들 토프레체를 주고 대코너니를 지다 주베린 바니 스타 사정이 버티르바 대코너니를 지다 주베린 바스타 단데티 토프레체를 대코너니티 무슨 차례 다티 대코너니를 주베린 바티리 대코너니를 주베린 바니스 어쨌든마 담보로 그행인 예주 삼내 예수디 달라 돈두기 올라지바시고 다데 코나니를 주발라 가르코레스나 담보디 돈바니를 주발라 아니 가르코레스네 담보 그에 등이기 예주기 예수디스 담보 그에 등에 삼고리스 등에 삼네 등에 때는 메드가로 지게인데 다 텔레티브 터더 지서게 터베테 디 자와 가리레 두네게 자와 가리레 진짜 말이 받지 투인도 하고 그래요 말이 되게 그래서 그 자와데 두네게 자와데 고발 투 됐으면 말이 벌 투 디네 말이 받지 에티안 베고 비어와 디에서 담부 아니 그에 두네디 마슴요 네 두네를 탄두글로 끼는 말이지. 두네를 탄두글로 말기는 아니 두네를 자와 말이 바쁜두글로 끼는 말봐. 어디 메기면서 담부 대권하는 주변에 담부들 가르래서는 그에 두네기 이수를 거리지. 일래서 유선수나 일래 돈두글로 끼그리지. 일래 돈두글로 끼서는 이 자와 가르래 두네를 자와 가르래 세지 대주주 그래봐. 유인도 말이 벌어 투부하고 어디 두시 프로그레스입니다.
다데 대건일 지라데 university ni 사실 university university 숨발란 니 대건일 주변 바탕 대건일 때는 아바 뭐 들어가라 이거
그냥 뭐는 소시에시도 봐.
So now
말다 니버도 말다.
no
당분이 토브르체베 대코나니 영을 대고 강의 이 토브르체베 탑 대코나니 유바 지다이 있어야 돼.
then you no okay, so now in that at the beginning of that section it said question nirvana is the reality one seeks to attain, but what is nirvana? That's the first question which we just looked at. If entry into reality means a method for attaining it, then how do you enter? So after this talk of the Dharmakaya, although it's Dharmakaya, you don't, it's not explicitly translated here, there's a, but anyway, body of truth. Yeah, there it says, embodiment of truth. That's Chugyu, the Dharmakaya. So after that paragraph, then it goes on to the second part of the answer to the question, if entry into reality means a method for attaining it, then how do you enter? So that is explained with what follows, and let's see how far this goes through. So it's just a few lines that Rinpoche has looked at. The stages by which you enter that reality are as follows. First, having contemplated in dismay the faults and disadvantages of psychic existence, you should develop a wish to be done with it. What this is saying is that if you're going to enter into or engage in emptiness, she uses the word enter. If you're going to enter into emptiness, how are you going to do that? The first step is you need to reflect well on the suffering nature of psychic existence. Through reflecting on that, then you will be, we'll use her term, you will be filled with dismay at that suffering. And you won't want psychic existence. So naturally then you're going to want to be free of that suffering, to be free of psychic existence. And so you're going to want to find a method whereby you'll be able to free yourself from that suffering, from psychic existence. And so your inquiry and your research will lead you to ignorance. You'll see that ignorance is at the root of all of that suffering. So you need to, through that process, then you reach the point where you feel, I need to understand ignorance. You'll need to understand ignorance. You'll need to understand how ignorance is the root of all of that suffering. You need to understand how ignorance is mistaken. So if you don't reflect upon the suffering nature of psychic existence, if you don't reflect on suffering, then you won't have the wish to be free of it. And if you don't have the wish to be free of psychic existence, you're never going to have the wish to be able to abandon ignorance, which is the root of psychic existence. So that's the way in which you enter enter into reality.
Mm-hmm. At the name, economy jubilee, Tambo Kue Nimi Samne, Singajun Samne, Yi Sundi, Situtamba, Kue Nijun Situ Kue Nimit Samne, but a Kue Dunga Samne Sig, Kue Dunga Jet and that Kue Dunga Jet somebody, Yarva, Jet somebody, do somebody, to make Kue Dunga Sum somebody, Yarva, Dunga Sum somebody, Jet somebody, do somebody. That really Dunga jealous of it. Dunga jealous yet. Any give it to me, cover it to me, love it to me, give it to me, Jeganachi to me, Shije. Ning to but a terry to me, Tommy to but a cherry to me. The Remo would say, and we need it to me. Any Yannick Pungu, Yannick Pungu, to me, 동네가 시행기다 동네가 시행이 풍부 삼바 풍부님이 삼바 그때 계야 야티 동네 계 삼바데.
So it says here, we have the expression dismay, contemplated in dismay. So reflecting on the faults of thinking about, reflecting on the faults of psychic existence. In other words, thinking about the suffering nature of psychic existence to the so that what will happen is you are filled with dismay at that. And the way to meditate on the suffering of psychic existence, there are various ways we can do that. There's meditating on the 8 sufferings, meditating on the 6 sufferings, meditating on the 3 sufferings. Meditating on the 8 sufferings means reflecting on the suffering of birth, aging, sickness, and death. Those 4, and then the remaining 4 are so being separated from the things that you like, from nice things. You have them be separated from them. So that's one of them. Then like meeting with unpleasant experiences, and then so that's that would be the 4th, 5th, 6th one. Then the 7th one, not being able to get what you want, not being able to get the things that you like. That's the 7th one. The 8th one is reflecting on the suffering nature of the what we usually call the appropriated aggregates, so the grasping aggregates. Those are the 8.
어디지? 다들 등에 두 삼바제리 아니 야야 예. 자식 제대로 없을 집에 자
그자.
나래
하는
Yeah.
티베.
Tea.
Oh.
Yeah, the tea bag.
이게
It's
샤비
okay.
샤비
In Ruji's room. In Ruji's room.
Again.
Five.
Lots of
5 people involved in getting a cup of tea.
Thank you.
Genie. Come, I think he's cold.
I'll keep it.
No, it's okay.
어디 등에 두 삼바티 야양 텀에도 주와. 이 매벌이 야양 텀에도 주었지. 야양 인좀 쳐왔지. 아니 예바 매봤지. 내 몸바 매봤지. 그것도 맞춘수네.
시중수나.
아, 야양
사이에서 양의 통에도
야양 인좀 쳐와.
양이 좀 좋아.
예바 매바.
이거 매봐.
아니
뭔가 매봐.
몸바 매바.
시제.
좀 싫어.
나는 양양도 더 류도와. 지금 말해. 양양도 공부도와.
양양 인좀 좋았지 봐.
디레트
공부하는
기억을 봐.
양양 인좀 좋았지. 양양 인좀 좋. 풍부히 안에 돌아와 있는 좀 풍부히 안에 돌아와. 다시 몸바 매봐지. 다시 지금 수다를 대신
로바 매봐.
좀 매봐. 어디래? 좀 매봐스. 어디?
And then there are the 6 types of suffering to reflect on. One is reflecting on how one repeatedly, like again and again, falls from high to low, from a high position to a low position. Then secondly, the suffering of again and again taking birth. Then the suffering of again and again, repeatedly having to give up our body. Then the third one is the suffering of uncertainty, or not being fixed, things not being fixed, uncertainty. The fourth one is the suffering of dissatisfaction. Then, actually, I got the numbers mixed up, didn't I? So that's actually 5. That's 5. That was the 5th one, yeah. Then the 6th one is the suffering of like having no companion.
다들 동네 숨세야지 동네를 동네 기회 동네 개발도 지금 동네 숨세.
And then the three sufferings are, as we usually call them, the suffering of suffering, the suffering of change, and then the pervasive, compounded suffering.
다들 다들 동네들이 동네들이 삼로 땅이 같더니 이 순제스도 동네들이 동네를 동네를 집통데 이 순제스도 이 로아르치 이게 봐 어디 이 순제스야 이 순제 근데 동네도 가려줘 자 동네들이 지금 그래 동네들이 다 견적 과투도 동네들이 쭉 가를 때는 좀 더서야 돼 동네를 본주 게임 쓰는 것 때문에 동네들이 유자주를 죽으러 가
And so, thinking about these sufferings, then you will feel a sense of dismay, as it says here. Feel a sense of dismay, which means that you've seen the faults, the drawbacks of those of psychic existence, that suffering nature of psychic existence, and it makes you feel like makes you feel down, makes you feel sad. And so you want to be free of that suffering. And when you want to be free of the suffering, then you start looking for the source of that suffering. You start asking yourself, well, where does this suffering come from?
다들 누가 내가 돈도 길러 집에서 그래서 제가 오늘 내내 이주 말로는 면도돼 이 동네기 그 말로는 동네면 너무 말이스 제선에 다 돈에 그래서 디가이 냠디스 제선 내내 이주 말로는 면도버 돈에스 동네들 돈도 물로 길이야 깨어있네 다 동네도 돈도 물로 끼네야 동네기 그때 말로는 내 동네들이 로터 매버를 하고 내 그래서 동네기 그때 가르를 다 통화냈더니 그래서 강의했어 그래서 그래 동네기 또 가르를 했지 냠디 제제네 저 제네 다디들이 다디 아니 동네 시에 자세야지 동네 이순데 세대 동네 시에 자세 템바시나네 동네 시에 자세야지 좀 다디 그때 그 말로는 디 동네 동네로 버터네 디주 가인스 그래서 그 가인스 제인도 좀 봤더니 군주 시합을 자세야지 동네 시합을 군주 방어 자세네 동네 디자 동네 디 그래서 말이በት 시에네 아니 디 본주로 기계로 디가 아니 군주 방어 자세야지 어디 군주 방어를 주 바세야지 디 용비아리스
So you see where it says the stage by which you enter the reality as follows: first, having contemplated in dismay the faults and disadvantages of psychic existence, you should develop a wish to be done with it. So that's what I've just been talking about. Then, understanding that you will not overcome it unless you overcome its cause, you research its roots, considering what might be the root cause of psychic existence. And so that's what I'm talking about now. What this means is then, so you've reflected on the cause, the suffering nature of psychic existence. You've thought about that. Then you need to you'll look for the source of it, and you'll find the root cause, and you will reflect on the fact that if you don't get rid of the cause, you're never going to get rid of the result. So you want to get rid of the suffering, and in order to get rid of that suffering, which is the result, then you're going to have to get rid of the ignorance, which is the cause. So we can look at this in connection with, in fact, this is connected with the four noble truths. The first one is the truth of suffering, and Buddha said of the truth of suffering, it is to be known. What that means is we need to reflect on the suffering nature of psychic existence, and through thinking about it, we need to be filled with dismay. So we want to be free of it. And then that brings us to the truth of the origin. The Buddha said of the truth of the origin is to be abandoned. So you want to be free of suffering, so you look for the cause of that suffering, and you discover that the root cause of that suffering, the root cause of all of psychic existence, is the grasping at true existence, is ignorance. And so the Buddha's advice, and what you need to do, is abandon that ignorance, which is the root of suffering. So so that's the meaning of saying the truth of origin is to be abandoned.
다트네 동네기 규텔라 지다니야레 레지 군주다 뉴모베 군주 슬레다 뉴모니레 레세니티 카르레스나 자왕네바 근시 제바들 레사시게 소지브라 마진바라 렘바라 냐이하 제마와라 아니 차만 마와 치중 마와라서 두수 제들 네 레사시게 이 크자오기 크자오기 레드 뉴모니 나니 레시아티 이 레이트 군주시에 들레트베 소지바 마진바렘바 네 메찬바주 네 참아 치주라서부터 제비나 네 레니니게 나네 레이트 군주시에 디리스 디크레 규징이 지그리.
Now there are two origins of suffering. When we talk about the truth of the origin, that refers to two things. There's the karma, which is the truth of origin, and then there's the klesha, or the destructive thoughts and emotions, which are the origin of suffering, the origin of psychic existence. And so when we say karma, which is the source of suffering, what that means is when we do some bad or evil deed, evil action, then what we say is you have collected or accumulated, you've created karma. Like, for example, if you kill, then you've created karma. You've created karma. Similarly, by stealing, or by sexual misconduct, by speaking, by lying, divisive words, harsh words, and so forth. Then, when you do those actions, you've created karma, and that's what's meant by the karma, which is the truth of origin. And that's one of the two truths of the origin. In other words, one of the two origins of psychic existence, the suffering of psychic existence.
No, that ne the lady can this English lady 차단이 오는데 나 아니 소주버들 차배우기 소주버지야리 랑기 샤다 바발라 소버다 두슬레 차네 소주야지 디 차배우기 소주 데니야 셰당공기 소주바 랑기 자세도 두스던지 두수 셰당공기 소주바 다티에서 디니미버티다 차단이 때문에 준비하리 레드수 차단이수 차단이를 걔네 레드스게로 다 차단이 되게네 이것도 쓰는 때 말이 벗으니 되는 거야. 근데 자와 말이 벗어야 돼. 그 자와서야 돼. 말이 벌 투지. 아니 지단 그의 규칙이 동의를 규칙을 레드는 니지. 다 레디 간의 중도서는 너무 저차다. 지시 차단이 수부터 될 중시했어. 디니부터 파티는 그는 것도서는 말이 받는 거야. 디네 어디는 말이 받이 방구이야. 말이 받이 빠서는 아니지. 네 감각을 잡아지지 않게 되네. 네 요약을 거기 야말. 차단이 어디 콜레티는 거에 차단이 이제 내니 nembassati ni 그 동부인 거야. 견도 투세대 맞다지 말해봤지. 아나 아니 자지 내 탐지 제주에.
And then we ask the question, well, how does this karma come about? When we talk about the karma, which is the truth of origin, how does that come about? So that karma comes through attachment and anger. Like, for example, in the case of killing can happen motivated by grasping attachment, or it can, likewise, it can come about through anger. How it comes about through grasping attachment is, for example, you might kill because of attachment to the flesh of the other being, the one that you've killed, or out of attachment to their skin. So that would be a case of killing motivated by attachment. Likewise, you might kill an enemy that you're angry with. So that would be killing motivated by anger. So this is the way in which you might kill, depending upon either attachment or anger. And then the question comes, well, where do those come from? Where does the attachment come from? Where does the anger come from? And the answer is from ignorance. So where the karma comes, it traces back to is ignorance, because the karma is motivated by attachment and anger. They come from ignorance. And so in general, we talk about karma and the afflictive thoughts and emotions being this origin of suffering. And when we look at the way that the karma works, we see that it comes from the attachment and anger. The attachment and anger comes from ignorance. So you see, by thinking about that, that what you really need to abandon is ignorance. If you abandon ignorance, then because it's the root and the foundation of everything else, then everything else gets that's derived from it gets abandoned along with it. So when you abandon the ignorance, then you abandon the destructive thoughts and emotions of attachment and anger and so on. And by abandoning those, in other words, by abandoning ignorance, you also free yourself from the karma. You abandon the karma.
Yeah, the Don Lulu, never think never now said Maripati, Kuetawan Lulu, never Yapuchini sooner. And a tip on the Gulochi is here to Lulu did and let it Maripata, Tambo Maripati, not you. Did any Chadani, Chadani, gender only Chadani, couldn't lay. Miguel, number not to say and let number not to say. Let Sadan to Vinieri Chadan Gune Chadan Gunelan less about Chejo the Kangolo Yesundi Jiri Digilene the Jashida Timosu Digi Lene Miguelas Macha made Jesse Chadan Gunelan Yakarche Beneta Le Miguel, Tining Nasun to teaching less a year. That Dine Carisure 말이 꾸네 나니 이는 내 상부서기야. 진바 땅수나 이제 제수는 된루 핀지기 내리. 주소다 코어 계지기 내리게. 된루 핀지기 내사비니까 원돌 함이 고바스야 뒤tum네 조직이 내주수 코어 계지기 내리. 아 원돌 함이 고바티 코어 뒤버려. 디에서 코어 뒤베 코어 계지기 내사기야. 이내야 내 상부지세. 이 된루시에디 된루시에디 대원 지단데 kuala tewa yamari. Ini ya tendu siati ngasung ke tungnya le tuiti ngasung ala tuiti ni tewa kewa tewa mampu chiyo bare. Jasan tendu asigari mishu chigi mashi tungnya tani meba tinde mari tendu singiti. Wadi yasanita le sadanti mari pe kune le sadanti le sambu sachi yari le nimba chi sachi le nimba sasuna ngasundu kichi dugiyari le sambu sana mundu lami kuba tuji dugiyari.
So let's see, Dineku Malana
No,
so still that same
Kuetawa Lulu, never did Ninas, or the Kuetawa Luluti, Danji Maribati Kuetawa Luluti, never yapuchi never bridge. Jinyasuna, and a telephone to looking this. Mariba Ponte looking river.
Mariba Kori, sorry, Doluk al Doluk. Could it Korsa Yinandi?
It is.
Well, so then where were we? Oh, I think I've the book turned a page by itself. Okay, so you will thereby become certain from the depths of your heart that the rarefying view of the perishing aggregates of ignorance acts as the cause of psychic existence. You then need to develop a sincere wish to be eliminated, to eliminate that. Next, see that overcoming the rarefying view of the perishing aggregates. No. So we've got around there. So it's talking about the way in which ignorance does act as the root of psychic existence. We need to understand that. So what this refers to is the idea that, first of all, the ignorance becomes manifest in our minds. Then through that becoming manifest in the mind, attachment and anger arise. Then motivated by the attachment and anger, then we engage in all sorts of karma. I need a little bit of water, if that's possible, please. A little bit of water. Okay, thanks. So mostly the kind of karma that we create motivated by ignorance is going to be the karma that leads us to be born in the lower realms. In other words, the kind of karma we create will be, first of all, the ignorance arises, then the attachment and anger, then because of the attachment and anger, we engage in these destructive actions, unskillful actions. So that means that we've created non-virtuous karma, and that will cause us to be born in the unfortunate realms. But that's not the only way in which ignorance causes us to create the karma to be born in psychic existence. Sometimes on the basis of the ignorance, in the context of having ignorance, one might engage in the activity of generosity. Engage in some kind of generous act, giving something away, and in that way, you're creating the cause to be born in one of the fortunate realms, what we call the happy migrations. they draw the happy migrations. So in that case, you didn't create bad karma, you created a good karma. But it's still karma to be born in psychic existence. It's good karma, but it's still the karma to be born in psychic existence. Because if you've created the karma to be born in one of the happy realms, like as a human being, as a god, those two the types of life are still included within psychic existence. So they're called happy migrations or happy lives, not because there's no suffering, but because in comparison to the suffering that you experience in the lower realms, there's lots of happiness. Lower realms, the unfortunate realms. So that's why it's so called. So what I'm saying then is that motivated by ignorance, one might create a bad karma or accumulate bad karma, which will lead you to be born in the unfortunate realms, the suffering realms of samsara, the three suffering realms. You could also, motivated by ignorance, you can create a good karma, which leads to being born in one of the fortunate realms within psychic existence.
당주 만족이 내 강가세디 머리가 온게 세리야리 단데 토놈 톱수나 퇴직이 레스 사버트 매체 이바도 만족감이 나 생기 뒤꾸는 아 전주부슨 꿈이야라 나콘 코안 나 산지 주고가 통나 삼버르지 아니 전주부슨 꿈이야라 진바다야라 어두수 감각 레상 기회래 기회래 이내야 만족이 지야드 가르스는 만족이 나디 머리부터 요요버지 예산 나 라면에 두버지 숨 뒤때네니 쿠알레 타나 섬을 나야 붙이래 나 섬을 어디레지 제네니 삼플레지게 지 예산에 여바반에 텐트로세야 되게 체바타월 체들을 내서는 네 년도를 해야미시 매버리 여바반에 텐트로스는 따뜻한 내버디 텐트를 누리지 그래서는 따뜻한 내내 텐트를 아주 강글로 따뜻한 내버리 따뜻한 내수로부터 난지 지대야래 지대 쿠란디 때문에 지대 뒤도 괜히 예선이래 어디에서 이내야 다지 예선이래 이내야 다는 코알레 두알레 지대 방이야 텐주 텐사 토라이 토야레 지대리 텐주 지대를 때네 텐주 텐사 토야야래 그래 제만메베 도시야지 제만메베 도시야지 이나 다도 제만에 취기 디시시베 동시야지 디시시베 동시야지 나중에 지 드니야 가진지 줘야지 생기를 살 가진지 줘야지 텐주 텐사를 버리 비는 조구야 봐 텐주 텐자를 비는 조구 주점바 디 줘야들이야 네 말이 버티기 온기 텐주 텐사는 임바 비는 주야다 이네 탈다 텐주 텐산티 크레티브 취지에서 뒤에 돌구기야 봐 산지 주고만 토발라 어디 뒤에서 나다도 되면 디시시베 동무세지 Timamai ba trabe tosi chere, tinala tinje chi chiari. Jasa titi chi sa gashi karere gajan nunji singiti digi mari chere. Tadu gajan nunji siati
No.
ngeji siati Jiri amarsin gajan nunji jiri mari sige. Tadu nimbati tishishibe tuni sige. Tishishibe tuni siati to tishishibe kujabe sugurbe. Tunso sigirba.
그때
Tishi.
딜 공부 잡으시 말했어. 그래서 누구 잡으시?
다 되게 tishishibe 토지기다. 시대를 지 tishishibe tuni siati가. 누구 간데스
양을 대산에 데 마마 잡으시.
다던데 다도 짐바디
동규세 동규대
디소지
No.
디가르스는 먼저 단지디기 양 단지디기 온기 먼저 비탄데 단지디 온기 나 냐는 미름 나 텐주 텐사 투는 지마를 섬데 제네 랩주지 기회에서 상부를 내기야로 그래 아까 이게 가진지 누구야 돼 왜냐 기바 준비 좋아하는 기바도 이래다 동영을 숨도 떠나 돈음네 커피 레사바 내줘봐 이 연체도 커피 레사바 유시 어디 유능한 다 진짜 다 단지기 방구야 가르스네 예바 탐지기 자와 코체 아니 코알레 마트와디 크지게 그 다들 짐바디 유는 코알레 탈네 코알레 타발레디 다들 짐바디 제다
동 인수배 인산에 가시다 때 빵기요 말했어.
네.
상비어라.
네.
Yeah, so from the path of seeing onwards, once you've got direct, non-conceptual realization of reality, from then on, you don't create any new karma which propels you into birth in psychic existence. So for the rest of us, up until then, you do have this thought, you think, I want enlightenment, I want to achieve liberation. There's that thought I there when you are engaging in generous acts, and it's in this way that you create the virtuous karma. So although we are creating this virtuous karma, still there's always this eye-grasping mind there. So that's why it's said that with the nihilist view, then when you have that, then there's no other possibility than to go to the lower realms, the unfortunate realms, suffering realms. But when you have the view of existence, or the permanent view, the eternalist view, then that allows you to create good karma and to go on to the good forms of life within psychic existence. So we, at the moment, the expression "darlane," so it's like where we are now at the moment is with the view, the eternalist view, because we all have this this ignorance, which is an eye grasping at a truly existent I. So even though through that ignorance, through that eye grasping mind, or the view of the transitive collection, we create the karma which propels us into birth as one of the fortunate kinds of life inside existence. Still, that ignorance is something we need to abandon. So even though it is the cause of us to be born in the fortunate realms, ultimately it's something that we need to abandon. So in connection with this, there is a sutra called the Jimmebito, so like the stainless sutra. And in that, it refers to the view of a self as the what would you call it, like the heritage that we of the, I think it's not quite the right word, but something like the heritage of the Buddhas. What do you call it, the heritage? No, not that. So anyway, forget about it. We'll use rather than just guessing, we'll use the word the heritage. What it means is that, what some people think it means is that it's something that we should abandon at any cost. What it actually means is that it's through, in a sense, using this grasping at an eye, that we create the causes to be born life after life as a human being or as a god. And that's something which is vital for us in order to achieve enlightenment. We have to have life after life in the good realms as a human being or as a god to be able to achieve enlightenment. So we do need it, but ultimately we have to abandon it, because those lives are samsaric lives. They are included within samsara. So the idea that we shouldn't abandon the ignorance, and that we don't need to identify the object to be negated is a mistaken idea, and it's based on a misunderstanding of that sutra statement. So all the way up until at the end of the path of preparation, we have that ignorance, and we are prone to create a good karma, which causes us to be propels us to be towards births within psychic existence. From the path of seeing onwards, you don't create any new karma propelling you to birth within psychic existence. But still, so the thing is that even though that ignorance, that eye grasping, is the root cause for you to be born as a human being or as a god, still, number one, still those births as a human being or as a god are in nature, are suffering in nature, and that ignorance prevents you from achieving liberation. So absolutely, in the long run, we do have to abandon that ignorance.
That is. Then, they point to the Jima Mayimbashi, Joko, Sidu Tambata, Kunjum, Mondulo, Jima Mayimbashi, came to the Gobangan to Chanduguloki, and then Gobangan to Chasi at the Inguia. Then, Jita Dobati, Jita, then Jita Doban, Karakutos, and these Nunes, me, Tati, Karasuri, Raleba Tones, Jita Dobati, these Nueta, Jita Dobana Karakubres, and Tatini, Jita the Sue, Tameba, Jita the Karasundere, Tatu Zimtir, Tatu sympathetic Tant. Jita di shi ta di kane ta me par to bishir chevati rale pate gobongon to chevala 다음에 또 남기 먼저 제거받지 통내니 다 먼저 자니 남 공부자니 공부먼저 자비 그놈 맞지 맞지 김 많이 베게 이제 좀 봤다네 지도 고베 아니 답네 지도 고발을 가르고 그랬으니까 다음에 또 지대의 수에 다디 간에 다 매번 통해 네 람디 공급받기 시기에 되니 람 공부 잘해야 되는 거를 따지네 저만만이 받게와 그 얘네 지다 또바 디 수에 다음에 또베 시럽 겨발라 라레바 통해 다음에 다디 가고버 통디 다디 여발은 다디 다디 람담에도 비시를 공급하디 통인사네 나디 그것도 상구에 다디는 람 공부시 잘해야 되게
Ponde chemin même pas. Qui est un état de copie non du jazz. Non du jazz. Ending non du jazz. N'était mal pas. Quand de l'âme combaja.
Jita dobati. Doba jita dobal maribati. Jita dobasne maribat dobala. Di sume. 다지 매번 통해 시를 비교과 통해 아니 남 다음에 또 비시를 공부하는 주바이 어디 예산에 따지 엠베스 디시를 따지 일단 말투스요.
So then it says, okay, so next, see that overcoming the rarefying view of the perishing aggregates depends upon developing the wisdom that knows that the self, as thus conceived, does not exist. You'll then see that you have to refute that self. But be certain in that refutation. So we got that far. You will then see that you have to refute that self. So when you have the sort of like the pure, uncontrived wish to abandon ignorance, then you see that you need to manifest the truth of cessation. So when we talk about the Four Noble Truths, what the Buddha said about the truth of cessation is that it needs to be manifested. It needs to be manifested literally. So you see that you need to stop that ignorance. Okay, so you want to abandon that ignorance, and the way that you do it is by stopping it. How you stop it is by understanding the object that it believes exists, but it grasps the existence of, doesn't actually exist. So it uses the expression here, the view of the perishing aggregates. Okay, the view of sometimes it's called the view of the transitory aggregates. The same thing, jita. The view of the perishing aggregates. So that the object of that is the self. It grasps the self, and we need to stop that in the sense of realizing that such a self doesn't exist. And so we realize by researching this that the way to stop it is by realizing it doesn't exist, which means cultivating the wisdom, realizing its non-existence. It's just another way of saying that. So again, you realize you need to abandon the ignorance by realizing its object that doesn't exist. The self that it grasps doesn't exist. Realizing that, in other words, you see that you need to cultivate the wisdom, understanding the non-existence of that object, and that's the meaning of the expression regarding the fourth of the Four Noble Truths, the truth of the path. That the truth of the path is to be meditated on, or to be habituated. Is something you need to habituate yourself with. We need to meditate on and habituate ourselves with the wisdom realizing no self.
다디네 다디 예발라 내지다 매베 두지 눈다리 벌었더니 예바시 타바 던둥이 친절라 아니 다디 예발라 내지 다디 매버 두지 눈다리 벌었더니 예바지 예구레스 다디 타바 던둥이 이는 다디 다든 짐바시야기 다디 매베투지 아니 예발라 내지 다디 매발라 누가 리바니 거네 네테나 파비치 다디 매메로리 스타브든지 냐발라 어디 구비야리스제
And then it goes on to say, be certain in that refutation, relying upon scriptures and lines of reasoning that contradict its existence and prove its non-existence. What this means is if you are a person who has a real, deep, strong interest in achieving liberation, then it's what you will find is absolutely indispensable is to use or to rely on logical reasoning and scriptural passages which establish or prove the non-existence of that self and which refute the existence of such a self. No.
다디 매베 두지 가르레스. 다디 예발레 뇌지 가르 뇌지 거르바 다디 예발레 뇌지 매발레 두지. 농자리 같이 제스는 다디네 가제 다디 근데 지구에서는 근데 가제 다디 켜바 숨데 다지레스게. 숨데 제와지. 난 가제다 지다 이건지 단위 뒤에 다 세제 다디 풍부가 초발을 때네 더시 세마 풍부가 초발을 때마 도지 그는 가르수래 도지 도바체마 아니 더시 땅 도지 도번이 채발을 때네 네, 낭잠기 다들. 어딜 다 단위 뒤에 다스니 근데 지고 그래서 다디 더시 제마지지. 도지리 로 제마지지. 달 도지리로다 더시니부터 채벌을 때네. 아니 낭잠기 다지르디 다 먼저 다 탄이도 열세 다들이 탄이도 매일 다디 다 딜레 도바들이 딜레 도바 다디 그래서는 이 기능에 취예배 다지
나
도지기 대시 체마다 도지기 체마 도지기 도바 체마를 때니 된 매팀바 이 크란 눈에 취 라운드 두셔베 다지르 어디를 가제 다스기 나는 다 들으니 예약 다지지 가제 다지지 예약 다 듣는 나 유세가 맞지야 어떻게 근데 지야레스는 더시 체마트 지지 얘는 도지기 요 체마지지 이니니 퇴발을 때니 낭점기 맞지야 어디를 다 듣는 나 유세가 나한테 진짜 지샤버려
So we need to look at the proof of the non-existence of such a self. So in general, we're looking at literally that which harms its existence and that which proves its non-existence. So, 저도 개부순된 세대에 수부투스로라. 개부순된 기타스. So we talk about as far as the conventionally existing I or self is concerned, that's something which needs to have three distinctive features or attributes. So one is there needs to be a valid basis of imputation. Then there needs to be the second one, there needs to be a valid mind which is doing the labeling or the imputing. And then thirdly, there is the mere a merely appearing self or I, which comes through the meeting of those two. In other words, you've got the valid basis of imputation, and you've got the valid imputing mind. Through the meeting of those two, or through those two coming together, there is the mere appearance of an I, or the mere appearance of a self. So that when you have those three, then when we talk about I exist, that's the I that exists, the I that has those three features. And as for the I or self which doesn't exist conventionally, it would be the opposite of that. It would be an I or self existing from its own side, independent of a basis of a valid basis of imputation, independent of a valid mind imputing, and independent of those two coming together and producing that appearance.
I think it's that 문제 어디 딱 문제 더 시세야 돼. 더 시세네. 근데 오늘 먼저 답하시네 더 시세네 참고. 수심이 수다 심이 초벌을 때문에 샤버를 봐. 다시야 돼. 수다 심이 먼저 다든다. 나라들의 제비는 수다 심이 초벌을 때문에 샤버를 다버시스 다디 구바질이 야레스는 까오기 때도 다싱이 디야 말이 야 까오기 때도 야 말이 그래서는 그 셈이야 말봐 근데 수다 셈이 초반에 때니 샤버지 그게 다싱이 먼저 있지네 그래서 이 고단 그래서는 분바다 까와도 수스 다 말봐 수심이 초발할 때는 샤바디 말봐 저선된 수심이 초바디 덩시세 다시에도 그베 때도 쉐기레스는 수심이 초베 때도 샤바디 다시 수심이 초베 때문에 매스 그래 다디 수심이 초배된도 예 수심이 때문에 주말 샤사디 다디 예세도 그거래서 수심이 초배된도 샤브 우베된도 다 샤세야 되는데 수심이 초배된도 다디 이내야 수심이 뭐네 다도 다이 차와디 양말 수심이 属性你的定度 다들 샤그스 수심니도 뭐네 다들 좀 말이지 이 주스는 다랑을 주스야 드리게 수심니가 때문에 뭐네 다들 레서는 다들랑을 좀 그래 이내 다들 예서기 수심니가 때도 샤그래 또 수심니가 때도 수심니 수심니를 때네스 네 타입의 제목이 수심니 때네 타입의 제목이 다시 타입이 그래 이는 제발 낭섬세지다 풍부된도 수심니 때도 낭점기 나지 요새다 어디에서는 자원도 다들 그바이르스는 얼른 나지 그바이르스는 요새도 수심니 초배된도 요새지 근데 이 멤버지는 나지 샤스매지
다마디 손손데 주신 소발라테네 타니두 네
수심 초발을 때는 샤바리스
샤바레스 예스
디아바다 도지니 똑바지 근데 지고 그래서는 타니베 채마치고 그래서 타니베 똑바 채마치 되게 아니 수심니 초발 때네 아니 도지가 똑바지 파 다디 샤tam지 오늘 도지가 똑발라 낭점지 수심니 땡도 도지가 똑발라 낭점기 나디 여태 시디점바 다 도지 로체마지 거지 네 당시 체마스으로 봐 당시 체마 수심이 초발 담바지지 디네 데테니 아니 군이 도지를 도지를 당시 군부당 도지를 또번이 최발을 때네 낭점이 나지 마테는 아니 그 그냥 메론한 그 진심 순이지 메론당 제니 최고로 봐 메론 파진 다섯 메론 디제 제 돈들 봐 돈들 카가 대지도 좀그 진심도 좀 말아 봐 다 메론당 제니부터 최인들 아니 제신 그 순이도 촬영와 어디 제선했더니 그래 제신 순이도 메로난 제신 순이도 야 저거를 봐 어디 뒤는 시제 다시 체마당 도지기 체마니 체발을 때니 낭점기 나지야 레스 나한테 그바텐도 시작했으면 수심이 그때도 시작했으면 초배 때도 시작했어.
Okay, so regarding the basis of imputation, actually, basis of imputation. So the mere I is posited. Sorry, the I. So we're talking about the I which exists. The I is posited depending upon the combination or collection, if you like, of the body and mind. So we, for example, are posited depending upon our the collection of our or combination of our body and mind. So now, where is that I, or where is there an I? Where is there a self? There's no self on the pillar, right? You know, a pillar that holds up a house, because it doesn't have a mind. So what you have to have is a combination of body and mind. And I, the conventionally existing I, is posited depending upon that. So we can say that the I is posited upon the collection of the body and mind. So if you ask where it is, it does exist. So where is it? It's posited depending upon the collection of body and mind, or alternatively we can say it exists. That self, that I, exists upon the collection of body and mind. Nevertheless, it doesn't exist. How can we put this? It doesn't exist from the side of that collection of body and mind. And I don't know if this works so well in English, but it also doesn't exist from upon the collection of body and mind. It exists on them, but not from the side of that collection of body and mind. If self did exist from the side of the collection of body and mind, from the side of the collection of body and mind, then that would mean it exists from its own side. And that would be the object of negation. So there is an I. Yeah, there is an I which exists on the collection of the body and mind. And so now I hope I'm going to get this out. What we can say is there is an I which is a mere appearance that exists through the meeting of, and again I think we say meeting of means like coming together or combining of these two things: a valid imputing mind and a valid basis of imputation, which is that collection of the body and mind. And to understand the significance of, or the meaning of saying that there should be the combination of those two, the valid basis of imputation and the valid imputing mind, in order for there to be this appearance or a merely appearing I, the appearance of this mere I. We can think of the analogy of a mirror. So for a reflection of a face to take place in the mirror, you need to have a combination of the mirror and then the face. When these two come together, you'll get a reflection of the face in the mirror. If the face is somewhere else, you won't get the reflection of the face in the mirror. So you do need a combination of those two for that appearance to take place. Likewise, in the case of the appearance of an I, which is a mere appearance, in other words, for the I which does exist to appear, you need the combination of those two, a valid basis of imputation and a valid imputing mind.
이게 다 들어봐, 띵봐. 다때네 매주 다 들리시죠. 풍불 때나 쌤기 따바 좀 님벌 풍불 속에 땡네 술을 두었다비 나디 다디 가제 나디 나란 좀 나디 가르스는 풍불 땡나 쌤기 어디 도치고 또보기 따장 나디를 샤워가 이들이 이 많이 비슷다 풍불 초배 때문에 주와 풍불 초배 때문에 주바지 나는들 나를 신경 주바 아시아 되지 다들 가지 나지들이 다들 그래서 친구들은 얘는 다디 풍부다 나디 도치기 도 대시 풍부다 나니부티 예매도 찬네 예매도 찬네 차려용이었지 다 그냥 나도 그래서 나나서도 좀 근데 시작했으나 풍부를 때문에도 차이인 거야. 풍부 뒤에서 뒤에 떠서 이렇게 진짜 매르지. 나나서도 풍부든 때문에도 내 풍부단 풍부로서 맞지르지. 내 풍부단 나니부터 로스 맞지르지. 아니 뭐마다 춘제부터 제가 때문에 안에 나스지 샤이에트 다티 재미 나스리 풍부가 나왔지 않은 풍부를 떼내서야겠지 나왔지 않은 풍부를 나왔지 저기로 유튜브 제가 때문에 차이도 주도 아마 제가 때문에 나왔지 차이도 저세계 풍부당 땡이 많이 붙이 지금 제부터 제 저기에 그래서 이런 매주부터 차이인 거예요.
Dela.
나 다시 풍부는 매주부터
Metoba.
맞대마.
Metoba.
그랬으네. 풍부다 날카가지도 직 차려요나 풍부를 떠버렸지. 나한테 풍부를 떠버 나왔지 차야지 여러봐. 이 매버지. 풍부다 나니부터 이해면도 차려인데 풍부는 매주부터 차린 거야. 그 돼지를 지나가시는 가가지 차고로 가. 세상 난줄 차인데 나왔을 때마다 풍부를 때문에 같이 차게. 뒤차들 뒤에 다 쓰게. 그래서 다 쓰면 가지 다 돼. 먼저 그래서 다디 tangi tiwe tadi pumbulo tene shabuji kugira. Da tinde si san chaju di da tinde surjire. Da
So now we're talking about we have the I which exists, and then there's the I which doesn't exist. So I've been talking about the I which does exist. So we need to think about the I which doesn't exist. The I which doesn't exist is one which is not merely imputed or labeled by the mind, and which exists from the side of the aggregates, or in other words, exists from the side of the collection of body and mind. Actually, the I exists depending upon. Actually, the I is merely labeled by the mind and doesn't exist from the side of the aggregates. But the I which doesn't exist is one which is not merely labeled by the mind and exists from the side of the aggregates. And the appearance of such an I is the appearance of the object to be negated. It's the appearance of the I which is to be negated. So we have, on the one hand, the aggregates, which are the bases of imputation, and then we have the I, which is merely labeled on those aggregates. So the way they seem to us is as if the two were inseparable. So when we think I, then how that I appears is as if it were, as if it didn't depend in any way on the aggregates. And how that comes about is that they appear, the I and the aggregates, which are the base of imputation, appear to be mixed. They appear like they're not separate. They appear mixed, like water being mixed with milk. And so, so because they appear like they're inseparable, they appear like it appears like the I doesn't depend upon the aggregates. For the I to appear as if it depended on the aggregates, relied upon the aggregates, the two would have to appear separately, appear to be separate. In other words, they would have to appear to be separate. But they don't. They appear as if they're inseparable. Because of the fact they appear to be inseparable, it appears like there is no relation of reliance of the I on the aggregates. So it seems like it doesn't rely upon the aggregates, and it appears like it doesn't depend upon the aggregates to appear like that. For that I to appear like it were, like it was reliant upon or dependent upon the aggregates, it would have to appear to be separate from the aggregates. So actually, the conventionally existing I, so when we talk about the I in the sense of the I that does exist, it does rely upon the aggregates. It is dependent upon the aggregates. The I which doesn't exist seems to be independent of the aggregates.
But that did
So we'll stop there, and I can take questions.
So
this is where we got to today. So from next time, we're not going to do that hello kind of thing. We're not going to go back again. We're not going to go back again. This is where we're going to carry on from next time.
No, yeah, that's good.
So please, if there's a question.
You said the Arya, the path of seeing, they don't have new karma.
They don't create new throwing karma.
They still have old karma, so that they could still take rebirth. That's
okay.
confusing.
Tome anide penjile saba sayo mares sobra. The dindi sumbi insan anide ngar sabite penjile tuzugi wangi anide kole kevale yorves.
Yo ya mari. That karasule. Ne ni to ungi jawa mele chere. Ne samele ungi 이게 아시기 뒤에 세치야라 삼일에 용이 세치 이 말이 바자담 죽는 난데 아니 아니 남도 지야래 들은 삼일에 시게 디온기 딱 레디 디샤 아니 드는 인지들면은 크레네스 심지에 된제데 영만 불리니 여러분 어떻게 레니 좀 좋아하는 건 말이지. 좋아하는 거야 말이지.
Jampak. So, in the case of the Arya Bodhisattvas, when they've achieved from the point where they've achieved the Arya path, in other words, part of seeing onwards, they don't take birth under the control of the karma and the destructive thoughts and emotions. They take birth, like under the control of uncontaminated karma, and through and also through the force of the imprints of ignorance. Yeah. So through those, then they have they instead of an ordinary birth, then they have what is called a mental body. So again and again, they can take birth in psychic existence through that process, not because of karma illusions, because of through that process and through their compassion and through their prayers, compassion for the sentient beings wanting to benefit them, through their prayers to be a benefit to sentient beings and so on. They would take birth in that way.
So what happened to the old karma? The
아니,
karma that they created before.
나사베 레드즈 칼시오리스. 이 원기는 꼴결랭이 이거 말하시니까.
말씀을 해주수다 사분트 빠야 말이지. 디온기 레디기 빠야 말이. 디빠인데 레디기 빠야디 자주부터 반디야. 레디기 아니 코아핀지가 네버티 냠도리. 네버 매버지.
냠도는 아니 다른 아니 다상부터도 아니
사분트 동. 쿠방 kum 레디 네버 매버지네 쿠방 시기야 말이. 빠야디 쿠비 자와 레니가 자와 마리바 빠는 주시 디파스.
Even though they can't be born in psychic existence under the control of that karma, they still haven't abandoned that karma. To abandon the karma would mean to abandon the seed of the karma. So that only happens when you achieve the level of arhat. In other words, the moment you've abandoned even the seeds of that karma, then you become an arhat. So that previous karma that they accumulated does, in a sense, degenerate. It becomes weaker, but that doesn't mean to say that you've abandoned it. You only abandon it when you become an arhat.
야, 근데 나도 매기 좀be 뚝제봐. 뚝디 나도 매가 나도 좀be 네버티 파좀 저도 그 두레데 아니 뚝디기 아니 뚝디 온디 아니 네버티 야마리 나도 두다 매기 좀be 네버티 뚝신 부스제 매도 나기 좀be 뚝디 나 신지제니 이mom버티 레드 파야 마리티 근데 네버티
The analogy that's given for understanding the way in which the power of the karma has been destroyed, but the karma is still there in a sense, hasn't been completely abandoned yet, is the poison whose ability to harm us has been destroyed through medicine and spells or mantra. So when you've destroyed the potential for that poison to harm you in any way through that process, you still have the poison. The poison is still there, but it can't do any harm. So it's just like that. You've that karma has lost the power to do any harm to you, but it is still there. So its possibility or its potential to harm you by causing you to be born in psychic existence and so on, that's been destroyed, but it's still there. Then
would you please elaborate a bit more on the eye that doesn't exist, and maybe an example?
An example. The megu ngati kola yang putis mang surunas, and the hakoi chitu pechi surunas.
다 매기는데 나도 나도 나스들로 차이도 풍부 때문에 그 파르파 마샤군에 풍부 때문에 담군에 예발했지. 아니, 로데 마기군에 피기 때문에 여유발을 지추샤리 샤니가 나왔지 아래. 나시도 좀 봐, 나시야지. 담군에 여유배수라. 아니, 디레기 나와 지차기야 돼. 그래서는 지차인도 좀 봐. 아니, 디네 나시야지. 디네 주위도 아니, 그걸 시작해야 돼. 그 간배 때문에 담분에 여유버렸지. 그냥 엄마를 기분 매체디 담분에 더시디니 나디니를 있어.
나.
취디더디
뭐.
차마디 맞을 건도 그 열었었지. 근데 차마디가 뒤큰 짐었지. 나를 예시하지. 아니 또 바디 유도 용화를 치지. 말하는 진이 좋아하세요. 다 챙기면은 아니 도지기 또바 유여받던 이 샤브를 미슈지기 딩문에 유여받지 도지기 또바를 나 샤브지 말이에요. 나랑도 차이 있던가 도지기 또바를 맞대봐 담보는 배 유여를 슉 전부 차리는데 내 나승이 된지봐 콜라 차신인데 그래서 차신 전부 유여를 나는 내가 걔네 근데 나승이 내가 걔서는 나디 라바 지구 주시 이버지 신기야 이제는 내가 걔서는 나디 파제 제가 지니 야말이 생게 된도 전에 매버 이 수게 된도 전에 매버 이래야 로를 차이인지 제 지기 이버지 저기에 기차인도 좀 많이 시당가 소바도 수인 준비해 봐. 어디에서인지 매기고 나디 차르단지 어디들이 담부군의 예바식 아니 로레야 주 차르대를 쓰지. 이 임발라 말한 주제 제가 루트 양말 봐. 어디 이선이 제가 지도 여것 이기다 붙이게 제가 치가 니기 왔다 붙이는 게 무슨 비버를 짓는 게 가제 다 뒤시게 다긴 고터부터 가르래서는 진짜 치아서는 디디 제야들이 풍부된도 수구된도 생기된도 제가 주중이야 짠 매지. 근데 뒤코 뒤들이 나 세벨로 슈침도 지게인 것도는 아니 가봐도 그봐도 세주지야 지게 준비. 세주지야 지들 라바장스 매지네 코테 마shum두게 나세. 폰도사도 지라. 폰도사도 좀 나스미 슈침도 지게 그래 봐. 딱히 나디 나가 슈침세 슈세는 나디 그봐도 제 제외는 라미니 지제인지 좀 봐니 주세는 나도 민도 선발을 지은 거야 봐 어디를 설치 다더니 아니 코파 디 딜레 디파카탄 딘딩 설치 됐다 간지스 베티 다레스미티 취나게 다레스미티 소리 취나게 다레스미티 만나들은 나한테 취나게 다와 예버지 있는 게 뭐네 맞아야지 야르데 취나게 다와티 제가 치는 양을 취님 말 어디 대제스미드가 이내 양들은 나한테 취나게 다와티 봐 다와 예버지 있는 게 디나시 그런도 다지 나세야지 유중면에 매네야 유중면에 이어봤다 어떻게 됐어야지 답변만 불편만 그래야 돼.
So now, for the I which doesn't exist, it appears like this is an I which appears like it exists from the side of the aggregates, and it seems like it was there already before it was posited. It seems as if, in other words, it was there already before the mind thinking I arose. So we think I, and when we think I, there's an appearance of an I that was already there before we thought I. Now, according to the Swatantrika school and below, it's kind of like, because they have the idea of an I that exists inherently or from its own side, they actually believe that conventionally that's how it exists. So it's in those systems, in those schools, it looks like there's an idea that there would be an I already existing there before you impute I, before you label I. According to the Prasangika system, that's not how it works. It's not that there is an inherent existing I already there, and then later on you come to think, I, and you think I. So how it appears, nevertheless, it seems there's a very strong appearance of an I that exists from the side of the aggregates that was already there. And when there's that strong appearance, then there's a strong grasping at an I, and then there's strong attachment arises. So when we have that very strong attachment or strong anger, then it's almost like there's an I there that you could touch, almost tangible, seems tangible. So like when we get angry because somebody has harmed us. So we look for that I. It looks findable. It looks as if you would be able to find it if you look for it amongst the aggregates, but you can't find that I. Seems as if you could, but you can't. And then your anger and so forth, they kind of like they ebb a little. They sort of like they recede a little bit. They become weaker. It kind of like starts to go away. So it seems like there's an I that already existed and then appeared to you, and then you think that it exists there. You impute and you think it exists from its own side. But when you search, you can't find it. It seems as if you could find it. So an I that seems like you would be able to find it when you look for it amongst the aggregates, which are the basis of imputation, that's the I to be negated. And the way to negate it is principally through searching for it, by looking for it. You look for it amongst the aggregates. This is the most important thing to do. And then when you can't find it, the anger gets less, and because when somebody hurts us, we feel very strongly there's this I that got hurt. Then when you look for that I, then you start thinking it's just not there. It's just not there, and then the anger loses its strength. Then, as far as an example is concerned, you were asking for an example. An example. Well, a good example for understanding this would be the reflection of a moon in water. So when the moon is reflected in water, it really looks like there's a moon there. But of course, if you look for it, there's no moon there at all. So just like that, there's an appearance of an I from the side of the aggregates, from the side of the object, but you can't find it. So I've just given you one example, the reflection of a moon in water, and there are many others.
Yeah, that is awesome.
So we'll stop there.
Chanju semjo
Rinpoche, Maki Panangi Gyuchi, Gepa Nyampa Mepayi, Kone Kondu, Tawa Sho. Koe Shingandi, Pendan Dewa Madu Choene, Jene Ziwan Tenzin Gyaturi, Shabe Zite Patu, Tengyuru Chi.
Yeah.